Hey, Truth Seekers, welcome back. Zach here. In this post, I want to talk about the Shandong, China chemical plant explosion. This was the third explosion in a little more than a month's time in China, all at chemical plants. This followed the Tianjin, China explosion, which got a lot of media coverage. So, this most recent explosion, Truth Seeker, it happened in Shandong, which has a gematria of 46. Math is on the screen. It happened on the date of August 23rd, 2015, a date with a 46 numerology connection. And it happened in the city of Zibo City in Shandong, which also has the gematria of 46. And what's interesting is the attacks that came prior in Tianjin, China, they didn't have this number 46 coded on it, but they had the numbers 58 coded on them, which is getting coded on a lot of major media stories right now. Tianjin, China, gematria 58. That was the second explosion, and then the first happened on the date of July 16th, 2015, a date with 58 numerology. The explosion in Shandong that we're talking about now happened 38 days after this one, so a little more than a month. I noticed, though, that this date of the first explosion also had a 38 numerology connection. Perhaps foretelling, perhaps just coincidence. But what is suspicious is that all of these explosions have happened in this short period of time, and within the explosions, familiar numbers have shown up that Freemasons often code into their doings. And as I often talk about, the Freemasons are an international organization who are ruling through conquering and confusion. And no doubt these explosions are causing confusion because no one is addressing why they're happening. Why so frequently now? Why three chemical plant explosions, all fairly significant in such a short period of time? Let's watch the explosions in Shandong. Some of these angles are a lot more convincing than others, Truth Seeker. Watch all 50 seconds. For me personally, Truth Seeker, as soon as I saw that footage, it made me go, that reminds me just of West Texas. And if you can believe it, West Texas also has that gematria of 46 that we find all over the Shandong explosion. After seeing that explosion, let's go back now and watch this video that another Truth Seeker made about the West Texas explosion from just a few years back.
In the two video frames before the West Texas fertilizer plant exploded, the sound of an approaching missile can be clearly heard.
Notice how there's a fire and then a massive explosion, just like Shandong. Same thing.
So what was the bright light to the left of the burning fertilizer plant just before it exploded? A missile tends to form a crater when it explodes, doesn't it? Did anyone see a crater left behind by the explosion at the plant? Does the U.S. government have a missile that is capable of such an explosion?
The Moab is big on firepower. This 30-foot monster weighs more than 21,000 pounds and carries close to 10 tons of H6 explosive.
When they were testing it, people actually thought they were testing small-scale nuclear devices.
Pound for pound, this is less efficient than multiple smaller detonations. but the sheer destructive force of one huge blast, plus the psychological effect of the nuclear-style mushroom cloud, is undeniable.
Drop one of these, and you can take out a large amount of a target in one big explosion, one big boom. And that's what it does, and does very, very well.
Does the mushroom cloud left behind by the government missile look anything like the mushroom cloud left behind by the explosion in West Texas? Were there any missile fragments left behind? Perhaps these gentlemen can help us find the answer. If it looks like a missile, if it sounds like a missile, if it explodes like a missile, if it leaves behind a crater like a missile, if it forms a mushroom cloud like a missile, then it has got to be.
Alright, Truth Seeker, so there's his video and his arguments. What I'm saying is the explosion in Shandong is reminiscent of what happened in West Texas. And there's been a lot of other signs. Let me just show you something else about that West Texas explosion, Truth Seeker. It happened on April 17th, 2013. And it was 66 years to the same day of the week from April 16th, 1947. These were the two worst fertilizer explosions in the state's history, 66 years apart on the same day of the week. And also in Texas around this same time, on April 3rd, that's the 93rd day of the year, 2012, there were unprecedented tornadoes in Dallas, just like there were 55 years earlier. Notice multiples of 11, 55 years, 66 years. April 2nd, 1957. They said that the tornado on April 2nd, 1957 was like no other tornado before. Science was able to make a lot of advancements from researching it, photographing it. It was a massive, slow-moving tornado, none like it had been seen before. And again, something very similar 55 years later, also in Texas. We know man has missiles for weapons, but do they have weather modification for weapons? Both things have been thought about and fathomed by scientists for the same period of time. So anyway, Truth Seeker, lots of suspicious things going on in China. The explosions there look like the explosions that happen here. And again, Freemasons are an international gang. They're in China, they're in the United States, they're in South America, they're in Europe, they're in Russia, worldwide. These people operating by the numbers. Look at the crater in Tianjin, speaking of craters. So that's pretty much the message, Truth Seeker. Just wanted to show you these curiosities, the ongoing coding, the numbers showing up over and over in major media reporting. Something is going on. And one last thought with regards to 46 being coded on Shandong in West Texas. This explosion happened at a fertilizer plant that is within a mile of major residential populations. 46 is a number connected to man. We each get 23 chromosomes from each parent for a total of 46 chromosomes as human beings. Perhaps this is some sort of sick experimentation to see how people hold up against, such chemical exposure. Who knows all what these madmen are after? Little war game testing, perhaps. All right, Truth Seeker, until next time.